Hussain, Ya Hussain,
Hey Hussain,
Hi Hussain.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahirin. From my understanding, the 10th Day campaign aims to spread the message of Imam Hussain alayhi salam here in the UK and in Manchester for non-Muslims. For non-Muslims to understand who is Imam Hussain, what was his message, why was he killed, why was he killed in this way. It's a message, to me, from what I understand, is that the 10th Day campaign believes in that the message of Imam Hussain should not just be restricted to us, followers of Ahlul Bayt. The whole world should know about what happened on Ashura, what happened on the 10th day of Muharram. Why was he killed? For what principles? Was Imam Hussain fighting for power or lust or money, or was it for greater principles? Was it for freedom? Was it against oppression? Was it against tyranny? Imam Hussain alayhi salam gave all that he could for Islam. Imam Hussain alayhi salam felt a responsibility to wage this revolution against Bani Umayyah and against the government at the time to save Islam. He did his part, and because of his sacrifice and because of his message, Islam has lived. If you look at all of our children and our youth, even our parents, our grandparents, their basic knowledge of Islam comes from the majalis of Imam Hussain. It comes from the pulpit of Imam Hussain. It's because ever since we were children, we would hear speakers speak about Imam Hussain and his message. We owe it to the Imam to continue this message. Imagine if every generation decided to stop holding majalis, decided to stop campaigning for Imam Hussain. That message would not reach us. That means Islam wouldn't have reached us. That means most of us, our Islam would be shaky. We owe it to the Imam to continue this message. And there's different ways. At every time, there's a way of spreading the message of Imam Hussain and spreading his campaign. It could be in the traditional way of pulpits, members, and lectures. Today, we should use new ways. There should be banners. There should be signs on the street. Today, we live at a time where advertisement is everything. People notice billboards and signs on buses. It catches their attention. If we can grab people's attention to the message of Imam Hussain, and some people actually come and read his message and read the lessons, they could be extremely affected. It's a shocking story. Some Muslims have become desensitized because they've heard it so many times. For a non-Muslim who's never heard the story of Ashura, to hear it for the first time, he'll be shocked. How could the nation of their Prophet do such a thing to the grandson of that Prophet? Thus they'll be shocked, and no doubt about it, they'll be influenced. I would say Imam Hussain was a man who fought against tyranny, fought against oppression. You don't have to be Muslim to condemn tyranny and oppression. This is something natural in each human being, to go against tyranny and oppression, to stand firm for justice. As soon as I'm asked, if I tell this person that Imam Hussain is a man that stood for justice and fought oppression, I'm sure I can grab his attention, because the bottom line is that's why Imam Hussain died. He died out of tyranny, because the man who killed Imam Hussain did not deserve to rule. He was the farthest away from being able to rule. He did not have the capabilities. He did not have the criteria. Imam Hussain was more fit for him. He was more principled. He was more moral. He was more ethical. Thus, it makes complete sense why the Imam fought and why the Imam sacrificed his life. He did it for a major purpose, for a greater purpose. When we read about the lives of some reformists, for example, Malcolm X, Malcolm X fought for equality between white people and black people. Martin Luther King, same thing, but he was Christian. He also fought for equality of white people and black people. Gandhi fought for the liberation of his people. Nelson Mandela fought for the liberation of his people. These people are heroes. These men are heroes because what they were trying to achieve wasn't materialistic. It was something moral and ethical. The liberation of their people, the equality of their people. These are great principles and values. Imam Hussain alayhi salam is not far from this. In fact, he was a motivation for some of these men. He was a motivation for Gandhi. Imam Hussain also fought for principle. Imam Hussain also fought for freedom. He fought for equality in his nation. He saw that the people that were in power had turned back against the teachings of his grandfather, Prophet Muhammad, that his grandfather's teachings were not being implemented. He took a risk to try to bring back the narrations and the teachings and the traditions of his grandfather, which was equality amongst all, which was freedom. You can't be forced. You can't be forced to be religious or to practice a certain school of thought or to practice a certain religion. These things were happening before the revolution of Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain had to take a stand. Imam Hussain taught us that even if you don't succeed, you have to take a stand and you have to speak out. You can't stay silent when you see evil taking place or oppression taking place, even if it means you'll have to die and you'll have to sacrifice your life. At the end of the day, you have to make a stand and you have to make your voice heard. What makes them stand out is that these great men in history, they fought for their own people. Gandhi wanted liberation for his own people. Martin Luther King fought for the black people, for African Americans. Malcolm X fought for African Americans. They were limited to their own people. Imam Hussain alayhi salam did not fight just for the Arabs or for the people of Mecca or for the people of Medina. His message was much bigger than that. He was fighting for everyone. It was a fight against tyranny in general, oppression in general. It wasn't ethnically based. To live free. See, tyranny and oppression doesn't necessarily come physically, but it could also be emotional and psychological tyranny. Many of our youth, they go with the flow. They don't speak their mind. They're afraid of voicing out their opinion. They're afraid of standing out like the black sheep. If you see something wrong, speak your mind. Say it, whether it's with your friends or at work or at school, or it's politics, world politics, or in your own country. Speak out. This is what we learn from Imam Hussain. Don't go with the flow. Imam Hussain alayhi salam could have gone with the flow and remained quiet, remained peaceful at home, and he would have lived. But the Imam decided to speak out, and because of that he risked his life. We learn from Imam Hussain not to be cowards, but to be brave. If you see injustice, it starts from your home. If you see injustice at home, speak. If you see injustice at your local Islamic center, in the community, speak. If you see injustice taking place in your country, you have to speak. If you see injustice taking place overseas, you have to speak. This affects our life. And today there's oppression everywhere. There will never come a time in which life will be perfect, unless our 12th Imam al-Mahdi comes back and returns, and there'll be justice. Today, day by day, we see oppression is increasing. Look at what's happening today in Iraq. Look at what's happening today in Palestine. Tyranny is endless. Oppression is endless. Do we just sit and watch comfortably, or do we act and say something? These are lessons that we can learn from Imam Hussain. When I think of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, I think of a man that was very selfless, that gave everything towards Allah, towards his Creator, towards God. He did what he did. He sacrificed his family, he sacrificed his life, and he stood against oppression, all for the sake of Allah, as a righteous servant. And in return, Allah also gave him everything in return. Look at the millions that love Imam Hussain. It's been 14 centuries, yet when we hear his story, we cry and weep as if it took place yesterday. To me, Imam Hussain is a man that gave everything for Allah, and Allah gave him everything.